With the winter season getting off to a really wet start, the rivers were high and almost unfishable, so they weren't the best place to go out and target perch and pike. The start of the winter saw us go down to a local still water with an unknown stock, targeting some perch on live baits. A few weeks later, with plenty of perch bagged, my attentions turned to pike. It was now cold enough, and my very first pike session of the year, a nice surprise was there to greet me. So there we go, the winter target, 22 pounds 8 ounce. She's ready to go. I'd like to try and give you a little look. She's big. It's been a tough day today. Certainly made up for it. What a crock. The remainder of the weeks leading up to Christmas were taken up with lure fishing, targeting perch in the main, but the odd chub came along. We had some big bags of perch, and also there was an election or something. All of the teams fishing is well documented on Instagram, so head over to @FanterFishing on Instagram, give us a follow and a comment, and keep up to date with what we've been up to throughout the year. Anyway, this is a video on how to use a Dyson rig, so let's get down the lake. Hello guys, welcome to Fanter Fishing. We're back again. It's been a little bit of a break in action, but we're out on the bank today, back down at the Perch Pit. I'm with Benny. Last time we was at this lake, this is what happened. I'll put a little link, if you haven't seen it, to that video at the end of the video, so you can go and watch last time we were here in warmer conditions, and we had it off pretty much with a perch, loads of fish over £2, and obviously Ben's monster that you just seen. Anyway, today slightly different. We're live baiting today. It's cold, it's mid-January, and we're going to be using a rig called the Dyson rig. There is eels in this water as well, so there's a chance of catching perch or eels, and this rig works brilliantly for both. So in this video I'll show you the rig, the components you need, and hopefully I'll show you some fish. Right, so I've just knocked up some ground bait, as you can see. It's a little bit on the wet side, but that'll dry out soon enough. The ground bait is not to feed the fish, it's just to get them to the area. As you can see, it's quite a big pit here. So when you're fishing a live bait, although it's giving off all them senses in the water of struggle, it's not really got any properties that will draw the fish in. So if you can put a little bit of bait out, and I think it always helps, that being either a sprinkle of maggots or a little bit of ground bait with not a lot of stuff in it to really fill fish up, especially perch. So the ground bait is a meaty salmon Sonia baits ground bait mix, and that's riddled through the riddle just to make it nice and smooth with no lumps and bumps. Small handful of the Sonia baits krill feed pellets, and that's just to give it a little bit of something in there. They'll break down with the water and things and just add a bit more scent. A generous squeeze of the liquid worm attractant from dynamite baits, and a handful of maggots as well. Not too many. I find if you put too many in, they just end up escaping or breaking up the mix really. So all I'm going to do is put some small pulse out of the ground bait, just over or around about where my live baits are, just to try and draw them silvers in, and I know that the perch will follow. We tried this before last winter when we were fishing prawns on here with small feeders and even just standard ledgers, pinging a few out, and it worked a treat. So there's no reason why the same won't happen for the live baits. Was peeling out. Very slack. Still not even up with the ledge yet. Fish on, I think. I think so. Yeah. Feels alright, mate, but obviously I've got quite a bit of weight on the with a 2 ounce lead and the float, but it feels nice.
Good start. Well done, mate.
Lovely start, mate. Rod's been out about 40 minutes.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Just got to hope he stays on. Got the old, it's been a little while, mate. It's got the old legs going a little bit.
Yeah.
The old knees are going.
Mate, she's going in the net first time, don't worry about that. That's alright.
Oh, she's a lovely fish, mate. She's a really nice fish. That's a lovely fish, mate.
Yeah.
That is a beast. That's a PB, I reckon. That ain't far off at all.
Big deep fish as well, isn't it? What a great
Let's get her on the mat. It's come out a lot smaller than I thought it was, mate. But there we go then. First fish of the day. What an absolute clonker. She's gone £2.9. And yeah, the rods have probably been out about 45 minutes or so, I guess. This one was on a live bait roach on the Dyson rig, hooked lovely in the side of the mouth, no issues at all with deep hooking. And yeah, we're going to get a little still of her, slip her back, safe and sound. But what a lovely first fish. Look at the shape of it. Right, so I just reeled in for a recast, and as I'm reeling in, a perch has hit the roach on the way in. As you can see, he's fully marked up. Fortunately, didn't have the hook section of the fish, so it's a good chance for me to just show you the rig and the components used to make it. There's only so much I can sort of show you on the bank for it to make sense. So I've got something lined up after this which should explain things a bit better. But effectively I'm using a 1.25 pound Corum all-rounder rod, which I use in a lot of my videos, a 2000 size axis reel, which is a fixed ball, no bait run or anything like that. And then my main line, which is £6, goes all the way straight through to a small buffer bead and a swivel, to some £6 fluorocarbon and a size 4 hook, which the bait sits on, lip hooked, it's just through the nose. This one in question isn't alive anymore, and it's a roach, but we have been using perch and chub as well. Running along that is a run ring, so this is a ceramic one. I also use plastic ones. It's sort of whatever I've got hold of, but I do find the ceramic ones to be a little bit better. That boom section is about 2 foot. There's a small float stop on there which stops the sub float from going any further. So this is a float designed to work underwater and pop predator baits up. Further down I attach another swivel to a weaker bit of 3-pound line with a few knots tied in it and a 2-ounce lead at the bottom. Like I said, explained like this it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but I'm going to jump back indoors. I'm going to show you my best Jeremy Wade impression and do a little drawing which will hopefully make things a little bit more understandable. Right guys, so I'm back indoors now, and like I said, I'm feeling creative, so I'm going to try something a little bit different, a little bit old school, Jeremy Wade style, to show you exactly how this works. I'm going to change the angle so you can see my doodles. So I'll change it over now, and let's get started. Right guys, so let's keep it nice and simple. This is a very, very basic drawing and I'm no artist. So this is your swim, this is your water line, and this is below the surface. So on the bank you have your 2 bank sticks, your bite alarm, and you have your rod, reel, rear hanger, and this is going to be the top eye. So when you're casting out, the first thing that's happening is your lead's going in the water, sinking straight to the bottom and sitting here in the substrate, whether that's silt or whatever. This is a 2-ounce lead. Your line is going to go straight down and tighten to that lead to start with. We'll come back to that in a little bit. So this lead is 1 piece of fluorocarbon. I use around 9 pound, up to a run ring. So I'm going to draw the run ring in now, and we'll concentrate on this boom section to start with. About 4 inches up from the 2-ounce lead, I put a swivel. And below the swivel is a light piece of a weak, which I would call a weak link. This weak link is probably 3 pound mono, and or 4 pound, and tie a few overhand knots in it to make sure it really is weak. Reason behind it is so if this lead gets snagged, which you'll see the reason why it's likely to get snagged shortly, you're going to snap off on this weak link here, and you're going to keep everything above it, including the fish. Between the swivel and the run ring, you've got a sub float. So I use a fairly small sub float. And it has to be one where the line can run through the middle. And above that sub float, a float stop. And you can adjust where that is, depending on how you want it cocked up. So that's the boom section explained. Fairly straightforward, looks complicated, but really there isn't that many components to overcomplicate things. This isn't a complicated rig. Now, your main line goes straight through here, down through the run ring, to a buffer bead, or whichever bead you can find which is big enough to not pass back through the run ring, a swivel to attach your hook link to your main line, and then your hook link comes here with your hook and your bait of choice. Now obviously on the day we're fishing we're using roach and perch live baits, but when you're fishing for eels obviously you can use live baits. You can use heads of roach or a big bunch of lobworms, and it's a really good way of suspending them baits off the bottom and singling out the eels. Some of you might be watching this video purely because you want to know how to fish the Dyson rig for eels, where it's probably most known for, but today we're using it with live baits, which obviously can catch any predators that are feeding on prey. Now, this is the rig, so simple. Now, what I want to explain to you is what I do once it's casted out. So I've already said you cast out, hits the bottom, you tighten up nice and straight. Now, yeah, it's fishing at the moment, and it is suspended off the bottom, but no different really to how it would be if you didn't have all this setup on it as well. So what I do is I set up nice and tight like this, get everything on the rod rest, don't attach the swinger, and I pull off enough line, usually to about the first eye, but obviously that's going to change on different rods. By doing so, I make some slack line here, which enables this float to then come up. So what will happen is your line will then start coming up like this. With your subfloat now here hitting the bead and your swivel here. Then from this bead it comes up to your run ring, and then from your run ring it's going to go straight to your eye. Now your hook bait is going to be sitting here now, which is much higher, much prouder. When a fish comes in and takes your bait, then it's always pulling against your open bail arm, so there's no resistance. I think it's important to have as big as lead as you can get away with, because you don't want this section moving. If you're using a really light lead, there's a chance that the fish can take a bait from here and it can pull the lead, and you may not get the indication that you require. Obviously, fishing with any live baits, there's always the issue that you've got to think of deep hooking a fish, which we want to avoid at all times. But I've just found this rig to be really effective and really underused. When I talk to people about the Dyson rig, it's not something they've heard of, so get out there and try it. I could talk you through various components and bits and pieces, but do you know what? It doesn't matter really. Whatever you're comfortable with. But yeah, if you want some more information on what I use, leave a comment in the comments section. Alternatively, on the Instagram, send me a DM and I'll get back to you and I'll let you know exactly the components I use, why I use them and how I use them. So I'm hoping this has cleared things up and you can go out there and you can start using the Dyson rig. I'm not sure how clear it is on the camera. The rod tip is just bouncing around to the right. And that's the beauty of this rig, is that you know it's fishing because you're in direct contact with the fish is swimming and you're getting bounces on the rod tip. If it was tangled or had the fish nicked off of the hook, you wouldn't be doing this. Sometimes when the fish get tired, just a bit of a pull on the line, sometimes spring them into life and they'll start bouncing away again, but the whole time that rod's bouncing, it's filling me with confidence, knowing that I'm presenting a bait out there and he's wiggling about. Fish on?
Yep.
So Ben swapped over to the float, paternoster style, and fished in the margins. He's got his first fish of the day hooked at the moment.
I think it's massive, but
oh, well done, mate.
thank you very much, sir. Good network. Right then, folks. So I've had a little switch in methods. I was basically using the same tactics as Matt started off with this morning, the sunken paternoster, or the sunken Dyson rig as we call it. But it looked a bit more favourable closer to the margins, so I decided to use a float cocked in the margins with a live bait presented halfway down on the line, and a little live bait chub that we managed to find this morning. And there we go. That's my first one of the day. £1,
13.
£1.13. So yeah, not the biggest, but the tails suffered a little bit there, but certainly more than welcome.
No sooner we just released that perch and his other rod's out, as you can see. This one's ready to go back out again. He's straight back into another fish. We'll grab the net. It is treacherous down here as well. It's so slippery.
Yeah, watch your feet there, mate.
Scales are in the net and all sorts.
So deep in front there, that must be 4 metres there.
Yeah. Well done, mate.
Well done, mate. Good skills. Right, good fun. One brings two. No sooner than I'd put the first one back, came on the floatfish paternoster live baits, then the Dyson rig done the favour for me. First one on the Dyson rig today, and again lovely fish, not huge but lovely, showing all her colours and all her glory. It's £1.14 I believe this one was. Yeah, so they seem to have woken up. Maybe this is the hour, and we'll might be able to manage a few more. Wonderful job.
Right, so that's the end of the session. No more occurrences really. A few little odd takes and that, but we've lost light now, so car's packed. Just want to take the opportunity to say thanks for watching. Obviously any likes, shares, comments, subscriptions and that goes a long way, and it's really appreciated. I urge you to go out there, try out the Dyson rig. It's very underused but very good. If you've got any more questions about it, then leave them in the comment section, or find us on Instagram at Fanter Fishing and send a DM. Catch you on the next one, guys.